What are your comments on Taratam's threefold categorizations of entire mankind? The Jiva-srishti, Ishwara-srishti, and most superior Brahm-srishties. One Vyavastha of Hindus is based on the fourfold categorization, that is the Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and the Brahman. Can you explain about this one? What Taratam says in this content?
Yes, Taratam's categorization is entirely different from the ancient fourfold one of the Hindus. It was based on certain codes of conduct that people of different varnas were asked to follow. By way of efforts, they needed to gradually evolve in a spiritually stratified society. Everyone is not at the same level of spiritual evolution. Obviously, there exist at any time in world several groups of persons who might have attained different extents of spiritual evolution. Therefore, the ancient system devised different codes of conduct for four varnas of the society, depending upon the propensities, the inherent tendencies in the present and also in the past attainments. Now, the term varna has several connotations, several meanings. One of them being the color shade or hue, not of the skin, but of the causal body of a person, Karana Sharira of the Hindus. Such color shade is said to be representative of the spiritual evolution that was attained by anyone during past lives by making efforts to evolve spiritually, like resorting first to any of the four broad-based codes of conduct, following the yogic practices, ascetic practices, etc. It seems there existed some sages. In English, the word sage is translated as seer. I would like to say seers, S-E-E-R-S, seers, they could see. It seems there existed some sages, the seers, in ancient times, who could actually see the auric colors and suggest an appropriate code of conduct for someone. That is, depending upon the spiritual evolution already attained, one could undertake certain efforts and then he is much more likely to succeed. Someone less evolved may not be able to follow the codes of conduct.
So that's how you define this Varna Vyavastha, you said?
Yes, Varna Vyavastha. I am coming to that. I contend that ancient system has over very, very long period of time of human existence deteriorated into one based on heredity, today known and practiced as the caste system by Hindus. That is, if I am a Brahmin, my son will be a Brahmin, my grandson will also be Brahmin, irrespective of what vocation he follows. In case even if he does the bad karmas, he will still be called a Brahmin. That is not what earlier it was intended to be. I have discussed this topic at some length in section 3.7 of my thesis, the 17th century revelations, citing an ancient dialogue between revered sages Bhrigu and Bharadvaj. These are the two great sages. It needs to be grasped that the ancient system was based upon efforts to be followed, efforts to be made in order to spiritually evolve in a graded manner. But Taratam Vani's classification is based upon the ultimate spiritual destinations in higher realms of God, that its three srishtis, we have seen through the sketch, have the three srishtis have different capabilities, that its three srishtis have capabilities to rise up to when by the time the period of Jagni ends in our world. By the time it ends, Jiva-srishtis have one spiritual destination, Ishwara-srishtis have another one, Brahm-srishties have the highest one. That is the difference between Varna Vyavastha and Taratam Vani's classification. As for countless others of Jiva-srishti category, their spirits are just not capable of reaching beyond the Inter-Loka. But, and here comes the catch, but owing to the unprecedented intervention of God. It is really unprecedented. Taratam Vani says it had never taken place in the past, nor shall it take place in future. Na bhuto na bhavishyati. But owing to the unprecedented intervention of God in affairs of our perishable creation and His divine plan, as is disclosed in Taratam Vani, spirits of even the perishable countless Jiva-srishties shall be made to rise beyond up to certain specified imperishable akshara levels. Taratam Vani makes a startling revelation. This is an astounding happening that shall take place as a direct consequence of first deluding the 12,000 Aksharatit Paratmas so that they may experience our Kshara creation and in steps their awakening. But they also have been enabled, as seen earlier, to shed their delusions one by one. After the period of Jagni ends, all the Paratmas would collectively reawaken. Earlier it has been individual, one-to-one awakening. Now they will, after all the 12,000 have awakened, it will be their collective awakening. Anyway, after the period of Jagni ends, all the Paratmas would collectively reawaken to their earlier eternal existence in blissful Aksharatit Loka. Taratam Vani categorically states, such happenings had not occurred in any of the countless Kshar creations. It had never happened. Such divine happenings would so profoundly affect our perishable world that even the Jiva-srishties would strike roots in imperishable Akshara Loka. Albeit at its lower strata, even in Akshara Loka there are different stratas, there are different levels. They will strike roots at the lowest level, but they shall. Albeit at its lower strata, that I would term as its Upaloka. These stratas of Akshara level, I have termed for sake of better explaining them as Upalokas at Akshara level, at Akshara Loka. It shall happen after the period of Jagni ends. In a sense, all three Srishtis of Taratam Vani would be benefited, but it would occur due to what happens mainly with the highly evolved Brahm-srishties. The exposure of Jiva-srishtis to spiritual truths revealed by them and the cleansing effect of the most divine aura spread in the world through them during the period of Jagni is planned to accomplish that unprecedented event. It would certainly enable the Jiva-srishtis to cross over from perishable realm to the imperishable one. Taratam Vani makes this point very clear. Most divine aura of Aksharatit Loka would manifest in heart of every Brahma-srishti when he or she has the experience of having an audience with Purushottama present there, just like Mahamati Prananath had, just like his Sadguru had in earlier. Taratam Vani calls it Noor. It is an Urdu term. I find similar statements are made not only in Hindu scriptures but also in Mark 3 of Bible, speaking of what would happen in end of the age. In its 13th verse, Jesus Christ can be seen telling his disciples the following: the God's people will shine like the sun in their Father's kingdom. Listen then, if you have the ears. I feel kingdom of God, the Father, is the Aksharatit Loka, and God's people or the children of God are the Brahm-srishties of Taratam Vani, same as the Paramahansas of Bhagavatam. Look at the fun. Though they are pointing to the same person or same category, they use different terms. One in English, one in Hebrew, one in Urdu, Sanskrit. As per the Taratam Vani, similar statements are present in Quran too. It clarifies several mysterious statements of Quran, in particular those concerning the period of Jagni and the end times. It says explicitly that Quran was a message that God had arranged to deliver through the Prophet Muhammad, God's messenger. Taratam Vani further says that Quran was a message meant mainly for Mormons, who it says are none other than its Brahm-srishties. Taratam makes it very clear. It equates Mormons and Brahm-srishties. That is indirectly Paramahamsas also. Quran was a message meant mainly for Mormons, who it says are none other than the Brahm-srishties, 12,000 in number. Taratam gives this number very, very clearly, not the Quran. In fact, Taratam refers to them much more often as Mormons rather than Brahm-srishties. I am not in a position to say more on this issue, as I have not had good fortune to study Quran. But it would not be out of place here to mention my contention, as was expressed in sections 2.4.7 to 2.4.9 and in 2.5 of my English book, the 17th Century Revelations. I have cited several testimonies of Hindu scriptures and a limited few from Bible that I gathered based on my limited understanding. I have contended with the passage of time, say as the period of Jagni kept drawing nearer and nearer, God had started revealing with more and more precision, more and more clarity, His divine plan for rewarding His devotees. After giving out vaguely some truths via Hindu scriptures like Yoga Vasishta, Gita, Bhagavatam, and even Old Testaments, God seems to have begun revealing it little clearly. He did it in respect of His highest realm of reality and the period, as well as the metaphysics relating to how Jagni would be accomplished. Perhaps it seems His intention is that the earlier scriptures should serve as testimonies, later day testimonies, to what He later revealed via the words of Jesus Christ. The message disclosed first by Prophet Muhammad and later via Mahamati Prananath. In my humble opinion, His revelations can be manifested in our perishable real realm only via the spiritually linked Brahm-srishties. None other can give out His messengers. Taratam confidently asserts that it shall stand corroborated by ancient scriptures, since it is the same God who really manifests such revelations. But one needs to be vigilant while collating scriptures, as they contain spiritual truths given out by several people in different languages as also historical backdrops. All of them might not have given out clearly at whose instance they revealed, and also which particular level of reality they disclosed. One has to search for articulations of different scriptures relating to seemingly same level of reality in order to decide if they complement and supplement one another or not. I suggest the scholars correlating different religious scriptures, say resorting to comparative religion as it is called now, need to bear in mind that the reality of God is not of homogeneous consistency, but it is stratified. In backdrop of my limited reading of Bible, it seems the 12,000 Brahm-srishties have perhaps been variously mentioned in it as the children of God, God's people, 12 tribes of Israel, etc. Same seems to be the case with Taratam end of the period of Jagni. That would herald a glorious new age, the Sat-yuga of Hindu scriptures. In Mark 13 of Bible, this period seems to have been termed as end of the age, when God's people will shine like the sun in their Father's kingdom. We need to note that Bible talks of people of God, that is in plural, about those who will shine like the sun shines upon our world, not one person. Taratam also says there are 12,000 like them. That statement of Bible seems pointing out the spread of an intensely divine but subtle influence of Aksharatit level reality in our world via Brahm-srishties. The shine, the brilliance spread by those people of God who are said to shine in the end period by Bible. It would descend down from the highest level over the spiritual linkages that will serve like copper wires over which the current flows to illuminate an electrical lamp. Bible seems to term such phenomenon as God's people shining like the sun. Their radiations would destroy the darkness of ignorance settled over the hearts of mankind since ages. Taratam says it would bring about an end of present Kali-yuga much before its scheduled tenure of 432,000 years. Amazing. Mark 13 of Bible in its 2 verses 19 and 20 also discloses God has a plan to cut short duration of horrible end times for sake of those who are dear to Him, that is the God's people. Today, mankind is living precisely through such times, fully armed with weapons of mass destruction. I know some devoted Christians too feel the same way. They say mankind is presently living in the end times of Bible. They contend that. But Taratam says it explicitly, starting from 17th up to the 29th. This is the end time.
Mr. Vyas, seems to be your views match with prophecy of Bhagavatam. Does Bhagavatam talks about single individual as a Kalki manifestation?
Yes, indeed. Bhagavatam's narrations make it look as if the manifestation of Kalki towards the end of Kali-yuga is almost a routine affair, just meant to herald the next Sat-yuga. That is what Bhagavatam makes it look like. Other scriptures also. Let us see what it says about such changeovers. The changeover from Kali-yuga to Sat-yuga happens 36 million times during the lifetime of Akshar creation. 36 million times. After that, it gets annihilated. Total destruction of Akshar world, Brahmanda. Our creation has already crossed halfway mark of its lifetime. So, we can say over 18 million such changeovers, that is from Kali-yuga to Sat-yuga. They have occurred already. This data of Bhagavatam makes it look as if changeover to be brought about by future appearance of Kalki in our world is almost a routine affair to occur towards the end of every Kali-yuga's tenure of 432,000 years. It means Kalki would appear only after hundreds of thousand years, since only a little over 51 centuries have elapsed since Shri Krishna departed from our midst to return back to his eternal abode. Kali-yuga commenced then. In other words, about 4,27,000, that is 4,32,000 minus 5,000 and something. In other words, 4,27,000 years are still left of Kali-yuga's tenure and also of the appearance of Kalki. Taratam, on the other hand, informs most emphatically that changeover to next Satya-yuga shall take place after the period of Jagni ends. That is, in the 29th century AD, as per my understanding of Taratam.
Okay.
It also says over and over that such a happening as is recently occurring in our Kshar creation present has neither happened at any of the past countless creations, nor would it ever happen in future creations. We thus see there is a big contradiction in Bhagavatam and Taratam. I have said already that I could not find either in Bhagavatam or in any other Hindu scriptures the term Kalki defined. It is not defined. or Hari in these verses to reside within their purified hearts? Well, only that much has been given out in Bhagavatam concerning Kalki. Finally, the two verses 33 and 34 inform us that is how the Sat-yuga would dawn after the end of Kali Yuga that had commenced soon after Shri Krishna left for his divine abode. That's what it explains. After a couple of verses, we find two verses 37 and 38 prophesying about two great yogis, Devapi and Maru. Then, at that time, residing in a village called Kalapa. The two would reappear in later times and, as guided by Shri Krishna, to re-establish the ancient Varna system of India, says the prophecy. It was discussed earlier in context of both Bhagavatam and Taratam Vani. But many statements of Bhagavatam and other Hindu scriptures on one hand and Taratam Vani on the other had to be tied up first. It is impractical to discuss here those tie-ups to support my contention that Kalki would manifest in hearts of all 12,000 Brahm-srishties, and not only in one personage, as claimed by scriptures. Perhaps they chose to reveal the identity only of the first individual in present Kali Yuga, in whom the experience of audience with Aksharatit Purushottama would descend, namely the Sadguru Shri Dev Chandraji. It is interesting to note that ancient text of Yoga Vasishta lists out names of several habitats where highly evolved yogis reside, rather than in mentally polluted places of mass population. Two villages, Shambhal and Kalapa, mentioned in Bhagavatam, are covered in that list also of Yoga Vasishta. But in it, the Sadguru was called as Devadatta. It is my contention, a horse on whom Kalki would ride and initiate the process of decimating the darkness of ignorance. In next prophecy, he is referred to by his name in earlier existence, the historic personality called Devapi, who along with his royal dynasty has been mentioned in other scriptures too, besides Bhagavatam. As we saw earlier, the Sadguru was made an instrument by God. He was made an instrument by God to disclose what only seems to be a new way of categorizing the mankind, the three srishtis of Taratam Vani. Bhagavatam says Devapi and Maru will re-establish the ancient system. Which ancient system? It is the fourfold Varna Vyavastha. My two books need to be perused for more details. Even then, it is quite likely that most of the Hindu scholars would accept my contention that Kalki had come and even gone in 16th/17th century. They will find it very difficult to believe, because it is said in Bhagavatam and others that he will come by the end of Kali Yuga, and Kali Yuga is explained as 4,32,000 years since the time Shri Krishna died. So how will they accept? They would find it even more preposterous to accept that Kalki would manifest during the period of Jagani up to 29th century in a total of 12,000 personages rather than in only one, the Vishnu Yasha of Bhagavatam's prophecy. I know it is very hard for most people to believe that, but this is my contention I am referring, this is my research. In such a situation, I can only say that they would face many more astounding revelations given out by Taratam Vani. I can here point out at major two factors that emboldened me to express my contention. I know it is a rather preposterous contention, but still I have made it. I have stuck my neck out. First one was enormity of the task of drastically slashing down the tenure of only our present Kali Yuga, not all, of our present Kali Yuga from 432,000 years to only 6,000 years, as is often mentioned by Taratam Vani. It implies that all of 12,000 Paratmas would have to shed their delusions. Not one, all. To spread their most divine auras in the world via their respective Brahm-srishties. Only then the changeover to next Satya Yuga would take place in such a short time span. That is, it also often claims that it would stand corroborated by several scriptures of the world. I have tried to show a few of them in my 2 research theses. Bible too informs us that all people of God shall shine like suns during the end times. That is how the new age will be heralded. It created an impression that since most ancient times, God would have kept on disclosing more and more spiritual truths as mankind drew nearer to the time of his judging it, and also to restore the vanishing spirituality. I have projected this view in section 2.5 of my English book, 17th Century Revelations. I am thankful to Lord Prananath Global Consciousness Mission of having undertaken this great task of Jagni in the world. I hope it will go a long way in spreading the awareness of the message of Taratam Vani, which came out through Mahamati Prananath, earlier his Guru, and which is really of great contemporary relevance to our world.